Hello and welcome to SideQuest, DCP SideQuest, episode number 38. It's Monday once again. Crazy how it's always Monday, right?
Every time.
Every time.
It's a little inconvenient for me, I'll be honest.
Mondays are inconvenient for everybody. It's universally the most inconvenient day.
It's not still Sunday, so.
Yeah. Imagine, like, things open like the DMV, you know, I guess the IRS office. You know,
IRS office. Welcome to DCP SideQuest. Today we're going to talk about taxes and how you can appropriately list your expenses as a content creator.
Taxes and then how to evade them without paying any consequences.
Did you guys actually know that, say, if you gift subs to your community, you can claim that on your taxes? Yeah.
Really?
That makes sense.
Yeah, because it's seen as marketing.
Oh,
same as giveaways.
Yeah.
Apparently, I can also claim my sub to you guys because I'm networking.
Wait, you don't already do that?
No.
I'm joking.
My friend Hefty, every time I resub, he's like, "Oh, Watts, go check out her channel," and that's me just networking.
Boom, marketing and networking.
Marketing and networking.
Well, we got some news today. Should we kick it off with the Xbox stuff? They're talking, the Cyberpunk
specs.
Yes.
Oh, you want to talk about Cyberpunk or specs?
No, let's go straight to specs. Specs
are
we
talking about
right?
cyber sex or specs?
Cyber specs. Let's have it, bro.
So, Microsoft revealed some Xbox Series X specs or Xbox 4.
X specs.
I'm already confused.
The thing's going to have 12 teraflops of power.
Teraflops?
No idea what that means.
Variable rate shading.
Oh, God.
Hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing, which actually is pretty interesting.
That is actually pretty cool.
Yeah.
Quick resumes for multiple games. And smart delivery.
What the hell is that?
Smart delivery.
I don't know.
Smart delivery.
Smart delivery.
12 teraflops of graphical prowess is pretty good. I think what was the Xbox One X?
Like 1.2 or 1.5 or something like that. Oh, the X? My bad. I think that's 6.
6. So about double the power of the current Xbox One X, which is the most powerful console out there right now.
I'm probably incorrect on that number, just to let you know. So,
well, okay.
Just feel free to assume I'm completely incorrect.
It's basically it's going to be essentially the power of like a mid-range current graphics card.
Right. So like a 2060 RTX 2060.
Yeah. But it's got an advantage that it is a console, and people who program for it are programming for one thing, right? So, normally if you have a PC and a console that are roughly the same power, the console can actually look a lot better because people are programming directly for that. They're using every trick in the book, or they have every trick in the book of optimization is a big deal.
Yep.
Which is, it's interesting. This is going to be a really powerful console. I'm really concerned about what it's going to cost because I think that has a big impact on how successful it'll be, especially at launch. But I think Microsoft is probably pretty aware of that based on what happened last generation with their $600 launch price.
I actually think, if anything, Xbox is probably in a better position than PlayStation to actually bump the price down quite a lot. I think they can, especially with the Game Pass and everything else that they have going on, but especially the Game Pass, I think they have a little bit more liberty to maybe make even a bit of a loss on the console and still make money.
That's a good point because they got the monthly service revenue, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Sony has that too, but they have it to a lesser extent, it seems.
They do, yeah. Well, yeah, because for example, I might not get an Xbox, but I do still have Game Pass on my PC. So they still have money from probably a lot of people who are just PC gamers.
Yeah. Historically, the subscription model ends up being the biggest kind of cash cow, really, because look at Netflix. Netflix is built around a subscription model and is like the majority of the internet in terms of data that's being sent around. So, and they have tons and tons of money to throw around for productions and all that. So if Microsoft doubles down on the subscription model, then it feels like they can afford to take a loss on this hardware sales.
Right. It's also not like the sole money making pillar of Microsoft as a company.
Mhm.
Whereas the PlayStation is that for Sony.
Right.
Sony is very dependent on the PlayStation being a success because it is their biggest profit maker by a wide margin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
And they also make some really nice cameras. Looking at you, A6400.
They do. They make really nice stuff. I mean, it's not that their other stuff isn't nice. It's just that, back in like the 90s, it was the best stuff, right? It's
Right.
like if you went to the store to buy a VCR or a TV,
CD player, DVD.
if you could afford it, you went with Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you could afford it.
Yeah.
Which I could not.
Definitely different nowadays, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole, like I was saying on the pre-show, we about how like we're in that weird, it's like a gaming leap year every time this happens, where it's the same. The year's the same, but it's different because we have all these companies that are like they've built stuff for the current gen hardware, and then a whole bunch of companies that have built stuff for the next gen hardware but can't really talk about it because they can't encroach on when they reveal certain things about the next gen consoles and all that crap that goes along with it. So there's like this huge waiting like void between when we're finally going to get our hands on these new consoles and then all these companies can start talking and revealing and all that, or feel like we have like momentum on the next gen.
Yeah. It was funny when the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One came out. I didn't really feel like we needed a generation of consoles. Like I was excited, but I wasn't like sitting there playing my 360 games and my PS3 games thinking, oh man, like I'm dying to get new consoles, even though the life cycle on that generation was actually pretty long.
Mm-hmm.
But this time around, I am dying to get new consoles. Like, I think that PlayStation and the Xbox weren't as powerful as I want them to be at launch. Like, there wasn't that big a difference between the 360 and the PS3.
There's really kind of been a big switch as well. I think more and more people are playing games on PC than ever. So now it's kind of become the standard of, 60 FPS and the field of view change and all of that. So when we're looking at our consoles where not every game is delivering that, it's like, kind of want a console that can do that.
Yeah. I feel like the PC market from 2010 to 2020 has exploded. And that's been a huge driving factor for what consoles can do and what the market kind of assumes consoles is going to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I like for Destiny, I want that parity. I want Destiny console to feel closer to PC Destiny.
I think it will. I mean, I think if they're not targeting 60 FPS on the next generation and like a wider field of view, then something's weird.
Something's a little funky.
8K.
Just as an explanation for variable rate shading, this is actually pretty interesting. This comes specifically from Microsoft. Rather than spending GPU cycles uniformly to every single pixel on the screen, developers can prioritize individual effects on specific game characters or important environmental objects. This technique results in more stable frame rates and higher resolutions with no impact on the final image quality.
Wow.
So that's the kind of stuff that developers can take advantage of because they know it's on the Xbox. Whereas if you're developing on PC, what graphics card is it going to be? It could be one of 100 graphics cards. It could be one of 40 different CPUs. That's the kind of nice thing about developing on a console is that and right off the bat, I do expect games on these new consoles to look as good as they do on PC. I have to jump, maybe a year or two in anyway.
Yeah, well, it's again if it's like a 2060 RTX 2060 in terms of graphics power.
Yeah,
or 2070.
Like day one, you're going to get a lot of ports. I'm sure. It's like Well, here's Uncharted 4 for the PS5. It's now higher plays in 4K. I think actually that played in 4K anyway, or 4K 60 now.
That technology of optimizing the shaders is really fascinating. I wonder
that's really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if any of that's in PC right now, or if they have the technology to be able to create those pipelines to essentially have AI that understands what is the most important to render in the scene for optimizations. But that could give a huge amount of boost and also a kind of a lifeline extension for the hardware beyond beyond the usual 2-3 years of, well, now it's getting kind of old and kind of outdated.
They also have they're partnering with TV manufacturers to enable auto low latency mode on TVs and variable rate refresh rate. So that the Xbox One, the Xbox 4, Xbox Series X is going to support 8K and 120 frames per second, right? So, and they're working with TV manufacturers for low latency and variable refresh rate. We've already seen some of the fruits of that labor coming out. I know LG currently has a very nice TV that supports 120 FPS.
Yeah.
And variable refresh rates.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Makes this console generation really exciting.
Right.
Like, how are these things going to perform when they come out? I'm really excited to see.
And that's why I feel like this year is a leap year of strangeness for gaming, where I'm like, I want these consoles, but these consoles aren't coming out until holiday time.
Right at the end.
Right?
And so November, you would think?
Yeah. So we have all this time. There's some great releases coming out this year, but at the same time, I'm thinking we need to get over this hurdle of current gen into the next gen.
That's another advantage I feel of the Xbox has got in its bag, though, is that, they are doing this like backward compatibility thing where they actually like are bringing games forward. And Watts, you were just saying that Cyberpunk has actually come out and said that if you buy the game for the current generation of console, you will get a version for the next generation as well if you buy it on Xbox. They haven't said anything about PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It'll work.
That's
and
great.
Be upgraded for the next gen, or the X.
They're just giving away a free game, basically.
Well, I wonder if that's how it's going to work, or if that, like, if you buy a game on Xbox, you own it on Xbox, right?
So,
and it doesn't matter which Xbox you own.
Mac Tanny in chat is
own
saying that smart delivery is what they're calling the.
Oh, okay.
Buy once, you have it on these other platforms, or it works on these other platforms, but like in different versions.
So that's great. We saw that with Red Dead Redemption, right? That was where if you owned the 360 version, you automatically got it for the Xbox One, but with 4K visuals.
Oh, right. When they did the upgrade thing.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome for sure. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's kind of strange to think that we haven't been just having a license to play the game on whatever version it exists on, right?
Oh, the way it works on PlayStation is super messy. It's like if you own the disc, like if you own the PlayStation 1 version of, let's say, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is a really popular PlayStation 1 game, right? I don't believe you can just slide that into your PS4, right? You have to go into the PlayStation Store and buy a digital copy of that game and play that.
I'm unfamiliar. I have no idea.
I think that's how it works. I'm not sure. It's like some of the PlayStations have been backward compatible and some of them haven't been. And sometimes even in a generation like the PlayStation 3, when it first launched, it was backward compatible with the PlayStation 2. They had the PlayStation 2 hardware in it. And then, well, this is awfully expensive, so we're going to pull that out and we're going to software emulate. No, we're just not going to do it anymore at all. So depending on when you bought your PlayStation 3, you may or may not be able to play PlayStation 2 discs.
That is silly.
Yeah.
And confusing.
Yeah. For the consumer, it's super confusing because, it's nice to be able to play games in your old library.
Right.
Especially a game like Symphony of the Night, which is like a all-time great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's nice that this is coming with at least Xbox. Hopefully, PlayStation also says some stuff about that, how they want to make that a reality. Do you think PlayStation's going to do that? Be like, hey, if you bought it for PS4?
It's definitely going to be compatible with PS4. Because I think it's, now that they've kind of switched to this hardware that it more resembles a PC, it's much easier to emulate.
But do you think if you buy the PS4 version
or the Emotion Engine,
if you think you buy the PS4 version of Cyberpunk, do you think they're going to do the same type of thing where they'll allow it to be the PS5 version when you buy a PS5?
I don't know. And I wouldn't assume that you can unless Sony or, the fact that CD Projekt Red specified that you could do it on the Xbox, maybe they're calling out Sony kind of backhanding,
being like, hey, Why don't you want to have this license transfer?
This really does kind of put Sony in a corner, right? Of like, hey, Xbox is having Play Anywhere with this Game Pass. There's the buy anything and play it on whatever. It's really kind of pushing Sony into going more consumer friendly.
But Sony's not in a position that they can offer some of these services, right? Like if they offer a service like this for like the Game Pass where you can play games, Sony games on a PC, like
they need a launcher, the Sony launcher.
But they're not Microsoft. They don't make the operating system. They're not making money on that. They're not making money on PC sales. They're just losing money on PlayStation sales.
True.
Yep.
So do you think they're banking on the fact that people are going to buy multiple copies?
Maybe. I've done it in the past, haven't you?
Yeah.
I remember buying Call of Duty games twice, one for the 360 and one for the PlayStation.
Yeah. I'll be honest, it does kind of seem like a Sony thing to be like, well, you could buy it here and then you could buy it again right here because you want to buy games, right? It's the same game multiple times.
That sounds like a PlayStation thing.
It sounds like a PlayStation thing. Yeah.
And like ultimately, because our first party exclusives are so damn good, I'm definitely buying a PlayStation, right? Like I know I am because
the games.
The games are so good, right?
They're so good. So good. Another Bloodborne's gonna come out. I'm gonna be like, well, guys, guess where I'm going? Elden Ring, is that gonna be PlayStation only? Maybe.
Oh, I hope not.
But
it's a
if I'm buying
game.
a multi-platform game, I'm definitely looking at the Xbox more now.
Yeah.
Like if I'm choosing between the two and let's say the next I don't know, what's a big third-party game? I'm blanking.
Let's say the next Destiny.
Yeah, let's say the next Destiny comes out. Like right now, I'm like, I'd rather go Xbox, Destiny's kind of a bad example because it's an online-only game.
Sure. I think
the next
Sekiro,
Resident
maybe?
Evil. Yeah,
Resident Evil is a good example.
I think it comes down to if you have access to a beefy PC, then obviously the good complement to that is going to be a PlayStation. But if you just want a solid next-gen piece of hardware that can do...
I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think if I have a beefy PC, an Xbox makes it an excellent companion because I play for the Xbox Game Pass and I'm getting games for both systems now.
But you can play all those games on the PC.
I could, but I can't, in the living room, I might want to play the same game and even use the same save.
That's true. I guess it's more of a unique, well, maybe not unique, actually. Maybe it's just a different angle of the same problem.
There's been so many times where I'm like wanting to play Monster Hunter, right? And I'm like, I would love to be able to play Monster Hunter on my PC and then go into the living room, same save, not have to do any like cross switching, uploading to cloud, downloading to play it in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So many times I've wanted to do that. And I can't.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Or I can. I just have, not the PC. It's different save.
Yeah.
But I can play in the office on my PlayStation and play on the living room PlayStation, but I have to upload to the cloud and download, and it's a whole shkabackle. Can't just turn my PlayStation on.
With several Game Pass games, you can play your save on your PC and your Xbox. Like same save.
That's nice.
That's magic as far as I'm concerned.
That needs to be a standardization.
Yeah.
It needs to be in all games, man.
Oh, it's just so exciting that we're living in a world where that might actually just be the standard very soon, that you can just play anywhere and with no having to download and upload and all that stuff.
I'm really hoping. I'm hoping that's something that they're like, guess what? For the next gen, we've been talking and we thought it'd be awesome if everybody could play wherever they want, because that'd be dope.
With whoever they want.
Yeah.
No matter what they bought,
Yeah. I hope it's like, we don't want to seem anti-consumer, so we're going to be totally cool and give you all these cool options, man.
I wonder sometimes, though, like Phil Spencer is out there just saying everything right? Like he is like gamer hero #1 for like the last 3 or 4 years. Like every time he talks, he's making people happy, it seems like, like we want crossplay, we want this, we want that, we want, we're putting invested all this money in first party, we're doing all this stuff. Like every time the man can say no wrong.
Yeah.
What happens when Microsoft becomes the leader? like they were in the 360 generation. Like what
Mm.
what if Microsoft just blows Sony out of the water? Does their attitude change, or is this the attitude of a like a second place?
I hope it's a matured attitude, because I feel like Windows went through the same thing for a while. You know, Windows had a lot of yikes on some of those operating systems, and now
Xbox Live on PC.
Windows 10 now is a really nice operating system. It's
Sure
nice,
is.
you know, and I feel like their market share is huge, and I don't really think of the argument between Apple versus Windows the same as it was like 10 years ago. So hopefully they matured beyond that, and they're just looking to make a great platform for gamers, and Phil maintains that, or whoever his successor is maintains that as well.
Yeah.
And it's a good point that they have specifically said that Xbox and Nintendo and Sony, like Xbox isn't competing with Sony and Nintendo. They're competing with Steam, right?
Yeah.
And
So-
Stadia.
Yeah, so maybe they're going
Yeah.
to keep this going because
Stadia.
that's their competition. That's where they're going after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
they've
said this in the
openly
pre-show,
said.
but I just got charged $9.99 for another month of Stadia. I forgot to cancel it after my 3 months.
Yeah.
Zing.
Yeah, ouch.
Has there been any new games put on Stadia since that 3 months?
I think so, but
Yeah.
I mean, very little. Actually, there had been nothing for 3 months, and then I think it was like 2 weeks ago they just added like a game.
One
Did
game?
they add Borderlands, or am I crazy?
Maybe.
Maybe I should look that up. Stadia new games.
Hilarious.
Let's find out.
But back to Microsoft and Xbox. I mean, they've said that they're not really trying to compete against the console market specifically anymore.
Right.
They're trying to become the platform, the de facto platform, no matter what you play on. And that's exciting, because Steam hasn't had legit competition for forever, right?
Yeah. Well, it's hilarious that Valve initially went to Microsoft to try and set this up in the first place, Steam up in the first place, and Microsoft was like, we got this Xbox Live thing that we are pretty sure is awesome.
They did a Google to Yahoo thing. Be like, you want to buy our search engine technology? Nah, we're good.
But yeah, Steam has definitely been the leader, but they've got more competition than ever, right? It's like, it seems like everybody's opening up a new front end on PC.
Yep.
Yeah.
And, Epic's out there buying exclusives, which, of course, gamers are really pissed about. But to be honest, like, when I really reach into my feelings about this, like the whole Epic Store situation, like, I want there to be competition. I don't want Steam to be the only person out there.
Same.
Because they could do whatever the fuck they want. And we just, I feel like we just saw a huge update to Steam that really updated Steam. And would we have seen that if Epic wasn't out there, causing a ruckus? I don't know. But
yeah, competition is always good for consumers.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I look at it.
That's my biggest concern about if Xbox really runs away with the console stuff. It's like, what happens to Sony?
like, please don't give up, Sony. Please don't give up. Oh my god.
Sony pulls a Sega and just like drops out. Like, is that a possibility?
Sony starts releasing their games on the Xbox.
Oh man, imagine. That's never happened.
Yeah. I don't know. It's interesting to theorize about it. I mean, PlayStation 5 is obviously going to be successful because of people's interest in the exclusives and what they want to get.
Yeah.
But the question is the post 3-year launch window. How is that going to evolve? And how is the Play Anywhere stuff really going to take over the market? Because we're coming away from
I think it's a lot to assume that PlayStation 5 is going to be successful right out the gate. I mean, PlayStation 2 was the biggest gaming console ever, and the PlayStation 3 fell on their face out of the gate.
Yeah, but it's been 7 years, right? It's been 7 years.
I'm just gonna agree. Probably
Seems like more than that.
It's like 7 or 8 years since PS4 came out, so
Yeah,
people are in need of the next iteration. Also, I think the markets have changed dramatically from where it was in the past. Gaming is at a different level. Gaming is a lot more widespread today than it was back then.
Right.
So
interesting.
I don't know. It is interesting. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but what were you saying, Teffy?
I think I was making a comment also about how like the market was different back 2010 with the consoles versus today, and how that stuff has changed dramatically, and it's going to change. Like we're looking at an old style model from the past, and I think that's going to change drastically over the next 5 years in how console gaming is and how we ingest the games and all that.
Yeah. Like, how long are we going to still get physical releases? Like, how long are we still going to be going to Best Buy or GameStop to buy physical releases for it? Like, I'm sure that time is limited on that.
Or at least the standard version. Like, they're going to do special editions, obviously, and collector's editions. Those are going to continue happening. But for the most part, the majority of the games on Steam never see a physical release unless it is a special edition.
Well, they still do. They do special editions that don't have physical copies of the game.
Yeah, actually, I mean collector's edition. That's actually what I meant. But yeah, exactly. So that whole side of it is changing.
And this is really bullshit because they do this a lot on the Switch. Is you get the game cartridge, but you have to have the internet to connect it to connect and actually download most of the game.
Yeah. Yep.
That's horrific if you think about it, because like you want to play that game in 10 years.
No can do, man.
No can do, because Capcom only wanted to buy a 4 gigabyte cartridge instead of a 32 gigabyte. So they said, you know what? Here's what we'll do. We'll put the first level on the cartridge, but you got to download the rest of the game from the internet once you put it in your Switch.
Well, I hope they don't fully go away, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't have the best internet who are like, you know what? I want to play and purchase the game today, please.
True.
Right.
But you know what?
Exactly.
That's a problem that's only existing for a certain amount of time until it's solved worldwide. Like 10 years from now, there could be a worldwide network or 20 years.
I'll believe that shit when I see it, because I'm still paying AT&T for fucking horrific service.
Yeah, that's AT&T. I pay $80 for a gig internet. It's amazing.
I pay $180 for fucking terrible internet at my house. They're getting fed money from their consumers. The government pays them money to upgrade the infrastructure. They pocket that money and walk out and buy fucking Ferraris. They're out there enjoying Ferrari Friday while I'm sitting here with shitty internet.
Enjoy your 20 down and up. 20 down, 2 up. Yep.
Fuck those guys. I'll believe it when I see it.
Hopefully PS4 specs start coming out, or they start like talking about it officially. I know there's some specs out there already, but I want to see official PS4 things.
Yeah, when do you think their big announcement's going to be?
I don't know. Hopefully soon.
I would think in March.
Yeah.
March seems right to me, right? It's before E3. They're obviously not going to like try and do like the big E3 thing. So that's what they did for the PlayStation 4, right? Is they got out there in like March, April, did like a big reveal of that.
This was like 8 years ago, bro. Gaming was different, man. Making money on YouTube was still like, tough to happen. Get monetized and all that.
That's right. I mean, it wasn't that different, though. I mean, we're in the same situation. We had the PS3, we had the Xbox 360, and, we're waiting for the next gen, and like they're drip feeding out information.
Yeah.
I want to know a price.
Exactly.
Price. Yeah.
Specs and the price. The official specs, official price, and the date.
I just want the price.
What do you think? Can they release a console at $500?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so.
Yeah, I'd say so.
How about 600?
600's pushing it.
Yeah. I feel like 500 is the cap, the ceiling of where people are going to be like, it also kind of depends on if there's going to be a bunch of finance options directly from these guys, you know, if they're going to start going down that road.
Yeah. Microsoft is doing that now. Pretty fair price too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I $600 for a game. Although you spend $1,000 on a phone now, so you want your console to be more powerful than your phone, right?
So you think. Oh, that augmented reality is so good on my phone. My God.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I think most people are totally fine with 500, 550. They can maybe do 600. They're probably not going to jump right away.
Yeah. This is something that I'm going to put thousands of hours into, you know, like.
Yeah, but it starts putting it into a different purchase category. Like I feel like 500 is right at the ceiling of the okay for entertainment for a majority of people. And then after that, it's like, well,
this is something I need to save for many months and really think about.
Yeah,
put it in my budget.
It's aspirational.
The fridge is about to break down. Should I spend the money on the fridge or the new console?
You don't need cold food. You heat it up anyway.
Really got to replace stuff.
Especially now with PC gaming being so popular, and a lot of people seem to find that it's a lot easier to get into than before, because it was very intimidating before as well. You're then reaching a price point of, well, I'll just make a PC.
Yeah.
So you can't.
Yeah, that is the other aspect of it.
Point.
Yeah.
You know, like if I'm looking at $600 for a console, like how much different is that than a PC? Like, can I get a PC for $600? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes. How good of a PC for 600?
Okay.
Pretty good. Huh. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I haven't looked.
Let me tell
you
you guys about
your budget stuff.
The bottom tier budget stuff is fun because you're now into a situation where you are optimizing your game for your PC, whereas if you're at top end stuff, you just hit ultra in the settings and forget about settings and just start playing. Once you are a little less hardware wise, you start like, okay, try linear bi filtering. What the fuck does that mean? Do I need to be running it? Let me try it with. Let me try it without.
Yep.
There's a lot more
change
fiddling.
Something. You switch that one little button. You go in the game. Everything's terrible.
Yeah.
Awful. 8-bit goes to pixels.
I got 7 frames per second.
Can I play this game in 7 frames per second? It looks great.
I don't know. It's fun as a tinkerer, but if you just want to play the game and forget about the hardware, definitely consoles are easier.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they are.
Let me tell you guys about something I've been into lately.
Let's hear it.
Uh-oh.
I've been doing a lot of research on this thing called a MiSTer. It's spelled capital M, little I, capital S, capital T, little E, little R.
Did you find this on Craigslist?
I mean, that would be a good place to find it, actually. Etsy. You know, you can find like
get yourself a MiSTer.
Okay, so what this thing is really interesting. So this is a analog. This is a FPGA board, right? That you can buy and basically homebrew yourself a little emulation machine. But it's not software emulation like when you buy like a Hyperkin Retron 5 or if you emulate, NES or SNES games on your computer. This is much like the analog offerings, the company Analog. This is hardware that is programmed to act like the hardware of an NES or a Super Nintendo or a Genesis or a Sega CD, right?
Interesting.
What you do, and this is kind of like a build your own kind of thing. So this is very tinkery, right? This is not like a console.
I have to look this up.
Whereas you have to do a little research. You have to buy the correct board. You have to buy the correct kind of memory. Input output. You have to buy the input output board. Like, do I want HDMI? Do I want RGB out? Do I want component out? Like, how am I displaying this? What am I plugging into this? Am I going to be using USB controllers? Do I want to use a real SNES controller? Like, how am I going to do this? So you got to put all these parts together to fit your needs. But what you end up with is a machine that hardware emulates other consoles. And there are a ton of cores available. The cores are what the actual like program
cores.
Yeah, the hardware cores. Like
Yeah.
it's the language for this stuff
it's like
is
firmware.
really confusing. Sure. But you're actually, what you're doing is you're actually like, you're emulating. So for instance, to explain this a little bit better, to emulate the Neo Geo, they actually used a laser and they sliced the chips like by like little tiny little layers, so they could actually map out how the chips were made, because SNEK, when they made the Neo Geo, made custom chips for that. So it's not like you could buy them off the shelf and like just copy them. So to emulate the hardware with the MiSTer, they had to like use X-rays and lasers to actually like slice these things apart and map them out piece by piece. But what you're left with is a near duplicate of the hardware programmed on this FPGA, this field programmable grid array, I think is what the thing is.
This is fascinating.
And then you can download, so you download the software, you put it on this thing that you just built. And apparently putting it together is not that difficult. You know, it's less complicated than putting together a PC. And you go, you get the software, you download the software. It comes with an updater on it, so you connect the thing itself to the internet, and then it updates itself. So when new cores become available, I was looking today, Capcom CPS-1 just became available as a core. CPS-1 is the arcade board that ran games like Ghouls and Ghosts, Street Fighter 2, Final Fight, like stuff like that. So you can download the arcade version of these games.
That's cool.
And it plays like it's running on arcade hardware. It's not an emulator.
I want to play the Simpsons game, Briar.
Right? I think that's CPS2, which I think they also have done.
That's what I need.
Yeah, man, that game was super fun.
It was great.
You know, and they're doing the same thing with the Neo Geo, the TurboGrafx 16. If you are a fan of the TurboGrafx 16, that thing is incredibly expensive to collect games for. Like it's outrageous. Like the console itself goes for like $200, like online. The games are, because it was rare, you know, like
yeah,
a
they
lot
didn't
of
make
people
so
didn't
many
buy
of them.
that thing. But there's a lot of great games for the TurboGrafx 16. But you know, luckily for us, is all of our uncles have given us legit copies, so we are free to use our ROMs that we have legally.
You have a vast library in your closet.
Right.
Yeah.
So we legally have access to these ROMs.
Yeah.
This
which
MiSTer thing is really cool. I'm curious
Dude,
about this.
it's really cool. I ordered one this weekend. It's coming. You know, I don't know. It's going to take a few days to get here, but I'm really
need some
getting
updates
into
on
it.
this.
And then, you know, you just put everything on an SD card and it runs. You know, you can play Sega CD games off an SD card.
So you
Like,
still
how cool
load up
is
the
that?
ROMs onto an SD card, and then it runs off of the core that it was built for. So it's like basically hardware emulation. Straight up.
But with some improvements, right? So if you remember, the NES the NES had problems where the pixels, if there were too many things on screen, it would start to flash. Well, you could just say, you know what, now my NES now can have twice as many pixels as the normal NES did.
Twice the
so
data.
now it doesn't
32-bit
flash, right?
NES.
It doesn't flash anymore. All the pixels just stay on the screen and it looks beautiful.
32 teraflops.
You know,
teraflop NES.
The Ghouls and Ghosts on the SNES, it ran kind of slow. What if I just, you know, boosted the CPU clock on a SNES and see what happens? Oh, now it runs normally. Oh, that's nice.
This is some tinkering.
Right? It's like, and then, okay, this game looks great on my LCD, you know, on my TV. But I kind of miss having, you know, like the scan lines like I used to see on an old tube TV. So you can put those in there, you can customize them. Well, the colors, I remember this color of the sky in Super Mario Brothers being a very specific shade, because I had I remember being a specific shade of blue, but most of the time you see it emulated, it looks like kind of like purple brownish. Oh, there's different color filters that you could choose to make the game look how you remember it to look, or you know, how you want it to look.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really like all that stuff
That's
is super
amazing.
it's super like I want to say complicated, not complicated, but super
Convoluted.
customizable.
Right.
You know, like I can't wait to get a hold of this thing. You know, it's all
what
it's
does
all
it
homebrew
cost again?
stuff.
I think you mentioned it, but
Well,
I forgot.
So the one I got, well, it's not a thing that I got. With all the pieces that I got the main board, which is about anywhere from $110 to $150. That's where the FPGA is. That's about $150. Then you have to get RAM for it if you want to play like the high end stuff, like the Neo Geo or the SNES. That was, I want to say $60 for 128 megabytes of RAM. And then you need input output. I think I paid around $100 for the input output board.
Okay.
Which has the USB and the HDMI and like that kind of stuff.
Got it.
And then there's some other stuff that I threw in there. So I think you could get around for like, if you want like kind of low end, you could be around $250, $300. It cost me about $450, but I really wanted to like get everything so I could really play with it.
How easy is it to switch between, say, Super Nintendo or Neo Geo?
Oh, it's super quick. Super quick.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, you just select, okay, now I want to play Neo Geo, and it loads the core, and then you go into your list of games. Yeah.
So, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's really quick. And then everything's running off of SD cards, which are really quick too. And you can hook up a hard drive. So it's not like you got to be like crazy about buying like a 512 gig SD card. You can put in a USB 3 hard drive.
Just $50 for one of those.
It's more like $80, but yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That number's fresh in my mind.
They always go on deals. Sometimes you get like a really cheap card for that.
Yeah.
True, but you want a fast one.
Oh, true.
Because you're reading the game off of it.
Yeah. Huh. This is fascinating.
That's really cool.
I want
you can play
updates on this.
Advance, like Game Boy Advance games, regular Game Boy games, like just stuff that like, and then they go back in time too. They got like old arcade hardware like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Burger Time. Who wants some Burger Time?
I think we need a
prior
stream putting this together. To be honest.
Man,
that would be fascinating.
It's cool.
I'm looking forward to it. I have my SD card all ready to go. So as soon as I get it, I'm gonna put it together, throw that SD card in it, and start gaming.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm curious about it. You should make a video on it, put them together.
Yeah, I will.
Nice. Cool. Anything else happening in the news today?
I could look up gaming news on Google and read through
you know
the
what we
list.
didn't talk about last week was Bleeding Edge, because Brian and I did not play it.
Yes, indeed. Bleeding Edge. So I played the beta. I streamed it on Friday, I think. Yes. Last Friday, not this Friday. And so the beta was available. If you had Game Pass, you could just jump in, or if you had pre-ordered, you could jump in. It was one of those kind of betas, or you could sign up and get in. What Bleeding Edge is a brawler arena game, which is hard to say quickly. Brawler arena. There's a lot of brawler arena. There's a little, I want to say arena. Brawler arena. So it's a brawler arena game, and there's heroes in it. So a lot of people explain it like it's a Overwatch kind of melee game, which I think gives people the very basic idea of how it is. So there's different characters. There's tanks, there's healers, there's DPS, and then you have objective modes like control or domination. And then there's also something where you go and collect different materials. So you have a collection round where everyone's trying to fight over the materials. And then you have a next round where you bank it all, which is pretty fun because you can kill people and take the materials that they've collected. You can stop them from banking by hitting them. So it's pretty fun. I think the game strengths are in its character design. Each character looks really cool. It's very colorful. Each character is unique. And I didn't really play a character that I didn't like, which I think is pretty rare.
How many characters are in there?
There was, I think there was 3 healers.
I'm seeing a woman run around. She looks like maybe like a robot chicken kind of cyborg thing.
There's a lady
Robot
that kicks, kind of looks like an emu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Ultimate
like
robot chicken cyborg.
there is ranged attacks as well. Even though it is like a brawler kind of melee thing, there are people with guns or melee attacks. So that does exist in the game. But I was really surprised that each character I played, I was like, oh, I like this character. I could see some that maybe weren't for me, but there was never a character that I played where I was like, I do not like this character at all. Which I think is quite an impressive feat.
That is impressive.
And that's the thing that really took me by surprise was I was like, oh, this is another character who I really enjoy. And their art team, character design, absolutely amazing. Definitely a big strength of it. It definitely is a game where you have to play with your team. You will notice very quickly if you're playing on your own and you're playing against people that are playing together that it is freaking impossible because the champions are very, very tanky. And they take a lot to take down, especially if someone is healing them. So if you're playing against a team where everyone is, the tanks are getting you off the DPS and the DPS are protecting the healers and the healers can just sit there and heal, you're going to have a really bad time as a solo player.
Okay.
So
the skill gap seems to be a pretty decent skill gap with team focusedness.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to play with your team or you notice it's pretty bad. Pretty not fun if your team's not playing together because the healer can just sit there and just heal a tank and there's absolutely nothing that you're going to be able to do take down that tank if you don't kill the healer.
Is there anything in the game to kind of promote that? Like let's say you're a solo player and you're just like logging in for the first time. Like,
I don't think so. Besides just people understanding that that's how you have to play those games is the tank has to kind of get in there and protect people and the DPS has to kind of keep the other DPS off the healer. I think it's something that players just have to learn how to do that with time because it was the same thing with Overwatch, right? I remember being a healer right when Overwatch came out and I was like, my God, I am just getting hounded and no one's helping me. So it was a similar problem, but I'm sure as people play it more and especially if you get into more kind of ranked gameplay, people care more about protecting the healer. And especially because it's a beta, right? It's a brand new game. People just want to go in there and try out the characters. They're not necessarily thinking, oh, I better protect my healer. They just want to go in there and slash people.
They just want to see how it feels playing.
Yeah.
How does it feel playing it?
It feels pretty good. I think that there is I would like to see some more feedback from the melee hits. So I'd like the game to give me a bit more feedback, whether that's audio or like a little bit more visuals. I will say another thing that I think maybe it's just people getting used to the game, but there's very little announcements that happen. So there's not an announcer that's like, enemy has 5 materials to bank, protect the bank, or there's nothing. There's nothing that tells you to protect the bank, attack the thing. So I found also that a lot of people were fighting and they'd have their friend with them and then their friend would die. They wouldn't know that they'd died and they'd just be there in like a 1v3 and they're like, oh, hey, where'd all my friends go? Because it would be really nice to have an announcer say, looks like your enemy died, your friend died or something, or like Destiny does Guardian Down.
Yeah.
Just something really simple to be like, oh, someone died. But there was also like no background music really either. So I think that's probably something that they're working on the audio side. Because I'd be very surprised if there's no background music and no announcer.
So this is like a legit beta.
I think so. Although it's coming out in March.
Oh, really?
So it does concern me a little bit. There should for sure be background music and an announcer because people just get very tunnel vision. It's very easy to get tunnel vision, especially in a game where you're fighting people for a prolonged period of time. It's very easy for it to go from collecting materials to banking materials stage, and you just have no idea then that even happened.
Yeah, interesting.
There is a kill feed though. Yes, there's a kill feed.
Oh, really? That's nice.
Yeah.
Definitely a kill feed.
The art, I'm with you on the art, Watts. Like this is like I could see where it could remind you of Overwatch a little bit, but it's much darker, like much more sinister looking characters.
Yeah.
Like it's very cool, like punk rock in a way.
Exactly. Yeah, the characters are really cool. And of course they're going to have all the things of like skins that come out for characters. That also when you're traveling around the map, you can get on a hoverboard. So you're going to have customizable hoverboards. And there's also a really cool thing that I did like is that you can actually build the characters to play in very different ways depending on how you want to play. So as you level up with playing a certain character, you can unlock mods that change the way that they play. So I'll take one character, for example. She's a fighting healer. So she heals when she's attacking, and she has a freeze. She has a heal where she can heal her teammates, and then she has a dome that protects everyone. So you can go all in on more healing, more dome health to protect people, or you could go all in on her doing more damage just by herself. You can have her freeze last longer, her freeze have a longer range. So you can really customize how you want to play the character. So even though you picked a healer, not all healers are going to play the exact same based on how you build them.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So this is going to be on Xbox Game Pass, or you can pre-order it right now, which when I was looking at it, I was kind of thinking this would be a free-to-play game.
I think that's where they might have trouble, because I think this kind of game is a little hard to sell in general, because just saying that it's like Overwatch but with punching doesn't really do it a whole lot of justice. And I think when people get in there, they will be really they'll enjoy the characters and realize how awesome the designs are and realize how awesome all the characters are. It's not just one character that's good or two characters that are good.
Yeah.
Like all of them feel great. But with it being having a price, I think that's gonna potentially make it struggle.
Bit of a setback.
Yeah.
If it's free on Game Pass and just free in general, you can just download it and try it out. I think it has the potential of grabbing people, because it was fun to play. I was having a good time. I was unlocking stuff for my character, and I was excited to get the other unlocks to try a different build for the characters.
Yeah.
But if you have to pay, that's gonna be a little tough.
Does that feel kind of like League of Legends meets Melee?
I've seen some reviews that say that it feels like a MOBA. It's hard to really put that together because there's no killing of minions, there's no buying of items, there's no.
How do you get the resources?
So the way that works is like something will spawn on the different locations of the map. You go there and you hit the box. Okay. And then you get this is just one specific game mode. You hit the box, you get the materials from the box, and then there's a next stage where you have to bank it in the middle of the map. So that's just one game mode. But the other game mode is completely just like control from Destiny or domination.
Oh, okay. So the builds you're talking about, those aren't mid-game builds. They're actually like you pick that build and that's what your character is every time you load it up?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah. So you can
do you unlock that stuff as you play, or is it right?
You do.
At the get-go?
Yeah, they give you some right at the get-go. But the ones for more like unique play styles of that champion, like you can run a complete freeze build for this healing character, and that's your thing, is just freezing people a lot. You have to unlock that stuff, but it is something that you set up before. You get to choose 3 different mods, and then you can choose, like, you can make different builds with different mods in it. So you can have your healing build, you can have your freeze build, you can have your tanky build, and you can select that at any point during the game. When you die, you can change your build. So there's nothing that you don't level up during the game or buy items or anything like that. During the game, it's something you set up before you jump in.
Fascinating.
But I think it's a fun game. I think they have done really, really well with the character design. I would like to see the announcers added. I need something to people really need more than just some text popping up on the screen. A lot of people do not notice a little bit of text.
No, I'm like that. I don't notice it. I never have. Call of Duty, Destiny, I never have.
Yeah.
Watts, I got a question for you. I'm watching the gameplay on YouTube, and while I saw the characters, like kind of their art on their main page on Ninja Theory's webpage, like it all seems so fast and so small that it's harder to make out the stuff. Does that come through better when you're playing the game? Maybe it's just
I think
I'm watching a YouTube video.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it definitely comes through. You can tell which character is which, and you know what they do, and it's definitely much clearer. Okay. But yeah, there is a severe lack of feedback in what you're doing and what's happening in the game. Okay. Which I would like to see change. That, and I really think it neeps to be free to play.
Like big changes like that, doesn't it? Like if the
I was really surprised because I turned obviously with most new games that I try, I turn off my music because I want to hear like what their music is like. I want to hear what the game sounds like. But then I loaded into a match and I was like, there's no sound but abilities. It's just The abilities make sound, but that's about it.
That's weird.
But it's a really fun game when people get in there and actually play it. But I think that's the problem is you need to get people in there to play it for it to have a chance. And with that having a price point is sketchy. Of course, Game Pass, if someone has Game Pass, they can just go and try it out. So maybe it can do well because people can just try it out with Game Pass. But not being free is rough.
It's made by Ninja Theory.
It is.
So I'm rooting for it because I like the other games that they've made, and I feel like they come from a good place too. Like Senua's Sacrifice really it was an impressive thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully this does well, but it seems like it's got a tough road ahead of it.
It does, yeah. I think any game that is very similar like this, where it's paid plus there's things like skins and stuff on top of it, is rough. I know Overwatch is that. Like, that's what Overwatch is.
Yeah, but that's made by Blizzard.
It's made by Blizzard, exactly. So when people hear, oh, Blizzard's made an FPS game, people want to check it out because it's Blizzard.
Yeah, especially when that game came out. Maybe not anymore.
True. So
I mean, there's been a lot of like kind of attempts at competition to Overwatch, over the last few years, and it hasn't really gone great for people. Like Lawbreakers was kind of, but also what was the one that was developed by the guys who made Borderlands?
Battleborn.
Yeah, Battleborn was another one. There's been quite a few.
There has. I think what this game does have going for it is the characters. I think when people see them, they're like, oh, I want to play that character because the character looks cool. And that's a big selling point of getting people into the game to want to try it, is that this character looks cool and the art is amazing. So if people can just play it, I think they'll have a really good time with it.
Yeah.
I would think that a good kind of strategy for this would be to get a bunch of streamers playing this right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because I think it might be a game that needs to be seen.
Definitely.
To be understood correctly.
Yep, definitely.
Interesting.
But yeah,
you liked it overall.
I had a good time. There was definitely moments where I was like, oh man, this is frustrating. And that's when you're playing against 4 people who are definitely working together. And you're like, well, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, particularly.
That's what ultimately keeps me away from Overwatch. I love that game when I'm playing with friends, but I really can't stand it when I'm playing solo.
Yep. I tend to struggle with games that are very heavily dependent on teamwork. Like, I know League of Legends is somewhat dependent on teamwork, but there's actually a lot that you can do just on your own if people aren't completely working with you. But when it's a game where it's like, if your team doesn't work with you, you fail instantly. Nothing you can do.
That's kind of rough,
It is rough, yeah.
Cool.
We'll see.
Oh,
I was looking at this game. I saw the release date for Ori Will and the Wisps, and it just made me get excited.
I'm so excited. I played Ori.
Is that the 3rd? March 3rd? Or 10th?
11th, I think.
11th? Oh my goodness, that's so soon. I played the first Ori just off stream with Tomo. We just passed the controller back and forth. Yeah. And that was such an awesome way to play it. So I think I'm going to do the same with this one.
They made a special edition of that game too that's on Game Pass. But I stayed with the original version because that's where my game saves were.
Yeah.
Did you play the special edition of it by any chance?
I don't think I did.
No, I was wondering.
I
if there
haven't
were
played
any
it at all.
to it.
I'm actually considering playing.
You should. It's really an amazing experience.
Yeah.
The music is beautiful. The game is beautiful. The game's actually kind of hard. Gets a little
I've
difficult.
heard it's actually pretty difficult. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah.
Because we got,
especially on the old Xbox controller.
Oh yeah, right.
The new one's better, but the old one was a little rough with the D-pad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's coming out on the 11th. We've got
Animal Crossing and Doom
on the 20th.
Right?
Yep.
On the 20th.
But on the 3rd, we got Division 2 expansion in the next whatever year of Division 2 is going to look like. I'm excited about all those things.
I think I'm going to become
on sale for $5. Division 2
it was actually $3 at some point too. So people can get in for $3 and then play the new stuff. I think I'm going to become an Animal Crossing streamer.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see you digging the hell out of that. Actually, I would watch it too. Because
guys, what are we doing? We're going to work on paying our rent. Let's get to
Never
work.
mind. You just
gotta-
unsold me on that
We
stream.
gotta make ends meet. Tom
Trying to-
Nook's an
I
asshole.
don't need that Tom Nook over my head.
Well, I'll go fishing. I'll go get fruit, vegetables, decorate my house. Resident Evil 3 comes out when?
April.
Oh, thank God.
April. Oh man.
Yep.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm excited for that. I'm gonna be very scared and I'm just gonna have to get over it.
I'm very excited about Resident Evil. And then Final Fantasy VII Remake.
When's that happening?
That's, I think, mid-April as well, or beginning April.
Jesus.
I know.
What a time to be alive.
Right?
I know. What a time to be alive where Final Fantasy VII and Resident Evil 3 are coming out in the same month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What year is it? What is
Right?
going on?
That is pretty funny.
I
We
just spent
always-
all night last night playing Ninja Gaiden on NES.
Oh. We always make fun of Briar's Retro Hour, but we are playing retro games all the time.
Right? Remakes.
Retro gaming.
Hey, they showed some stuff about Outriders last week, right? Was that last week?
They did, yeah. I wasn't able to go to the event.
Okay.
I know Eric's did. And he
Yeah,
did some
we
I
kinda
watched
need
his
Eric's.
videos on it. And I watched a trailer on it. We could do first impressions of just what we thought of looking at it.
Sure.
The trailers and the gameplay
It looked
reveal.
very Gears of War meets Destiny to me.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like Anthem/Division. Just because there was, I've heard that there is a heavy emphasis on abilities over shooting. So Anthem was that, right? Like you were very focused on your abilities being the damage thing, and your guns were just kind of like secondary.
Okay.
The only impression of Destiny I get is from their art, which so much looks like
Yeah.
a hunter and a warlock. Like exactly like a hunter and a warlock.
It did, yeah.
But
Well,
when I watch
also-
the gameplay, I definitely am reminded more of the Division.
I feel like the ability effects and all that reminded me a lot of Destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the world like seems completely unique. So I don't know. This one has to sell me, to be honest with you. I'm not like on board with this right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, they really have to sell me on this one.
Yeah. I feel like when I saw it, I'm interested in these type of games, so I'm most likely going to give it a shot. But
Yeah.
I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait for Outriders. It's more like I need to be sold.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I know these are obviously not really the same games, but looking at Godfall and what that offers, I'm like, ooh, I see that and I get excited. And then
Yeah.
Outriders, I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, well, it looks like another kind of ability class looter shooter. It's not going to be a games as a service though, right? I believe I heard that. It's like got an end.
Okay. I'm actually excited to
Interesting.
hear that because I'm getting a little
Same.
tired of the game of service stuff.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I'll definitely try it out.
Okay. If it's like
Well,
a 20-hour,
it's-
30-hour campaign.
Yeah. I think
That
for
makes
me,
it
it's-
more interesting to me.
It definitely
I'm
does.
now on board.
I just need it to feel good.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing with these games is if I'm gonna sit in here and really enjoy the world, is that it needs to feel good to
Yeah.
do the abilities and to shoot and
All right. So I'm watching the gameplay reveal trailer.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody pull out a shotgun, shoot a dude, and his torso disintegrated, but his legs stayed standing.
Interesting.
that has Briar excited.
I am in.
Have they given any kind of
I
dates of
would
when
like
this is
to
going
do
to come out
Oh,
for
I
Outriders?
don't
I'm not sure.
remember. Let's see.
Holiday 2020.
September 2020 apparently is what they're shooting for. Ooh,
So
September
most likely
2020.
February 2021, right? With the delay
Yeah,
factored
right. Good idea.
in.
Maybe.
Right? Okay.
February
But
2021 release.
Evil Reborn said that it's for them it feels more like a Diablo 3 shooter.
Okay.
Sure. Okay.
That would be awesome too.
Yeah.
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 The loot's just got to be exciting and it's got to feel good, which is very
Yeah.
you're not going to see that stuff in any trailers, right? You're going to just see like general stuff. You're not going to see how good the loot is and how it feels.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
that cover-based shooter too. I played Gears of War 5. I played a little bit of Gears of War 5 last fall, and I feel like that cover-based shooter has been so done to death that it's not like fun and new anymore. It's not like exciting within its own right. Like the Division, I played so much of it in the Division, and over the years with Gears of War. Like this does look like it has some new stuff though, like the the more Anthem-like aspects of using abilities and stuff. I don't know. I'm in.
I'm gonna play it. I don't know how excited I am ultimately though.
Yeah.
I need to see more. I need to be sold.
I'm real concerned. It looks like you can only slow walk around the town, which is going to drive me fucking crazy. I haven't seen them running around in that town yet. I would really like to see it.
That's funny.
That was the thing about Anthem. Of all the things, was the slow walking in the town. Do you remember that?
I do, yeah. Yep. Well, is that the show?
I think that's it. It's 2:20.
There's always more things to talk about, but
There's always more.
There's
I
always
could
next
sit
week.
and talk
This
about
week?
games forever.
Anything exciting happening this week that you're going to play?
I've been playing more Wilson.
Yeah? Are you digging it?
Wilson, Lords of Athletic Sporting Goods. I've been loving it. A lot of fun. I'm like level 50 something now. I'm actually in Endgame. Endgame is unique-ish. It's like running Diablo Rifts, but you're also building your town, and you're also applying modifiers to the Diablo or to the Rifts, and gaining more levels and gear and all that. Like I'm really enjoying it. I think the game is awesome. Yeah.
The server stuff all stabilized at this point?
It is, yeah. They've been doing some bug fixes. There's still bugs, but I don't think you're going to lose an actual character or anything like that.
All right.
And
So
yeah, it's
maybe
great.
it's time. You've been holding off because of the bad stuff. Maybe it's time to jump in.
Yeah, it's $40, and it might be the Diablo 4 replacement you're looking for, and it might ultimately end up being better than Diablo 4 when that officially comes out at some point.
Maybe
5 years down the road. Yeah.
I jumped into Apex over the weekend.
Oh, really?
Well, I had
Apex
a few friends who were like, I kind of want to hop into Apex again. I haven't played since like season 1. I didn't play any of the seasons except right at the beginning. And then I was like, oh, look, everyone's really good now. Guess it's time for me to leave, which is how I generally are with BRs. I'm like, oh, I'm doing okay. This is great. And then everyone gets good. And then I'm like, But luckily for me, Apex has skill-based matchmaking. So I'm
Nice.
I'm having a good time. I think Apex is in a really good spot at the moment. Since if you haven't played since season 1 like me, there's a few new characters for you to jump in and try out. And there's also a whole new map. So you got that to learn.
Cool.
And it feels good. I tried it with a controller on PC, which I'd never done before. And that actually feels really good.
Oh, really?
So I really do like that so many games on PC are feeling good on controller now, because you could play on controller before, but it was not great. And everyone always said, why would you ever use a controller on PC? It's such a big disadvantage. But there's a lot of people that can't use keyboard and mouse because of any number of disabilities that they have, or discomfort, any kind of thing. They have to use a controller. So I'm really happy that you can actually jump into a bunch of games now.
Or maybe I just want to put my feet up on the table.
Maybe you just want to put
and
your
play
feet
at
up on the
120
table.
FPS.
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to chill out and go play some Apex. But I've had a good time with it. I won like once. That was nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That game is fun, man. It is
fun.
It's another one of those games that I only really want to play with friends, though. Like, I don't really ever jump in to games like that.
Well, we have a team right here. We can hop in for some Apex time.
Yeah, I want to play
legend.
The Hunt with you guys. I played that with Gary and
should
Wilson last weekend, and oh my god, that game was so much fun to play with a group of people.
Nice.
But at one point, Gary had like one of those like big metal snapping bear trap things. He was carrying it around. He was chasing Wilson with it. Well, we're all on the same team, of course, and he's chasing Wilson around with it. Of all the gameplay over the last like 10 years that I wish I had recorded but didn't, this is tops, because he's running around chasing Wilson with it, and Wilson's screaming, "Get away from me, Gary! Get away from me, Gary!" Wilson runs into the building that I'm in. Gary puts it down at the entrance. Wilson still thinks Gary's following him, so runs back out of the building and steps into it. Then he's like hopping around because he's in a bear trap, runs into some fire. Now he's on fire and in a bear trap.
Oh, wow.
It was hilarious.
Oh boy.
Yeah, just like
Sounds like a good time.
Everything that could happen right did happen right. That game was hilarious and fun, and everybody should give it a shot with a couple of friends.
What?
That sounds like our kind of game.
How much development is in it still? Are they like?
Oh, they've done a fantastic job. When that game released, it was like a 2080 Ti was running at like 60 FPS, maybe.
Yikes.
Now it runs smooth as silk. They've definitely downgraded the visual quality of the game to make it run smoother, which I think was a very wise decision. But it runs smooth as silk. The gunplay is very strategic and very fun. You have the hook to that game is that you have a hunter, but if your hunter dies in game, it's dead, right? And you upgrade that hunter over time. You can give it more life. You can give it better weapons. You really customize your hunter, different abilities. So the hook is that, if he dies in game, he's dead. It is super fun.
Fascinating.
But it's really a different type of experience. It doesn't feel like a first-person shooter like a Apex or a Call of Duty or something.
Cool.
Sounds like a good time.
Sounds like a good time. Well, speaking of good times, that's the show. 'Twas a good time.
Good times.
Good times.
SideQuest.
All made of dimes.
Complete.
Ding, yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Nice awkward delay there. That was solid. Good job, everyone.
That's good.
People love Dead Air. It's their favorite. Makes you think, did the MP3 fuck up?
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. That is SideQuest episode number 38. Appreciate all the support across the board. If you want
Thank you, everybody.
If you want to talk to me, you can always talk to me at Teft on Twitter, and you can catch my streams twitch.tv/TeftyTeft.
I am Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Yeah, I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me waiting patiently by the mail for my MiSTer to arrive. I'm not that
mail
patient.
order MiSTer. You could
Hey
say.
there,
Mail order
MiSTer.
Hey there. I gotta name it, right? Like I'm gonna have to.
You gotta name your MiSTer.
something.
The Fuzzy Buns. Mr. Fuzzy Buns.
Mr. Fuzzy Buns. Not bad. Not bad.
Maybe all of you can tweet at Briar on Twitter
Yeah.
your name for his MiSTer.
Yeah,
MiSTer
name the MiSTer.
Something.
Name the MiSTer. That'll be fun.
Yep. Awesome. All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.